the political class realized that we might be a problem, me and Heartstone.
Yes.
So they asked us to write a song for the presidential campaign worth X amount of money, which was 10 times more than I had ever seen in my whole musical career. Yes, I was visited, how Gen Z visit guys. But now it was the cops who are visiting, and plainclothes guys. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his own son. God sacrificed his own son. God will have you sacrifice something so close and precious to you that breaks you to a point that it makes you a whole different person.
Every other time with Eric, episode 13, it just keeps getting better and better, man. The legends just keep coming. This time we have quite a treat for you guys. On episode 13, we have, man, I don't even know what to call him. A producer, self-taught producer.
Yeah.
First in the game. I grew up, 20 years difference.
The what?
I grew up, everything that was Kenyan content, movies, film, music.
Yeah.
Ted Josiah was there.
Wow.
Pioneer of many things in many ways.
Yes.
And right now, most recently, man, has one of the biggest, if not the biggest brands out of Kenya. Recently graced the New York Fashion Week.
Yes. Oh, thank God.
Ted Josiah, how are you doing, man?
I'm good.
Your energy is really, really nice, man.
I'm good. Well, try and stay positive, man.
Yeah, I was nervous because of the kind of phenom you are, so I was really nervous. But I mean, you're a chilled guy.
I'm just a creative geek. That's all I am.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
You know, the reason I was so interested to have you on is because I really identify or admire excellence and thinking outside the box and being unconventional. I believe you've been the first in many fronts, you know?
Yes.
Where does that come from? I know you grew up in different places.
I've grown up all over the world, literally. I was born in Mombasa, raised in Nakuru for a year, lived with my grandma in Nyahururu or Jororok for a couple of years, moved to Chicago to stay with my parents. Came back to Kenya, grew up in Chicago, in Kajiado. Yeah, Chicago, Kajiado.
Went to Chicago before age 10,
I had a passport at the age of 4. I've been around the world, literally. Nowadays, my pastime is do not use my passport.
Now you're settled.
Don't greet a passport. Don't greet a pilot. And here you are. With a pilot. At least we're on the ground. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to be more grounded right now, but the past 40 years I've just been up and down and all over the place because I like adventure. And I guess when you start your child traveling at the age of 1, they're going to become a traveler.
I'm going to ask a question that probably would have come at the end, but you've traveled, you've been around the world, and
yeah.
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Kutembea kwingi ni kujua mengi. Travel and understand the world so that you understand a lot more and you understand how to read a room better. Because, you know, the way you deal with the Chinese is not the way you're going to deal with the Americans on a table. It's not the way you're going to deal with the Italians on a table. It's not the way you're going to deal with the Nigerians or the Kenyans. You know, we're both Africans, but Nigerians have a different demeanor from Kenyans. And I think the traveling has enabled me to understand how just human nature is and how diverse we are and appreciate it and be able to understand what somebody's trying to communicate to you without you having that self-prophecy of you have this notion or idea of how someone is simply because you watched it on a movie.
Yeah. Very different, huh?
It's very
Well done. Congratulations. You've reached this far in the game. If you want to keep finding out what's left in this, discovery phase. Take time now. Hit the subscribe button to find out more. Every Other Time with Eric continues. So exposure is key, and I keep saying that to all my viewers, man. Exposure is something that if you can gift yourself or aspire for, I think it's quite key in terms of opening the world to yourself. So I'll start with the production, man. You produced for almost everyone, and on a different platform. I remember talking about a sound that was so ahead of its time, and when I did some small research, I found you were behind the sound, and this is Hardstone. Hardstone was a sound. I think that sound has come back. I think 20 years later. You are ahead of the curve. So what was your introduction to production? Just for a list, you've produced for the likes of Necessary Noise, Poxy Pressure,
Giddy Giddy,
Maji Maji,
Susanna Wheel, Necessary Noise,
Achengabura. Wow, at some point Dij got you in trouble even
Nameless.
At some point. Oh my goodness. And you scored many movies as well.
I have, yeah.
So what was your introduction to music?
My introduction to music came first in Chicago when I was growing up in Chicago. And my bonding sessions with my dad, what we would do is every Saturday morning we'd go to the record store. Now, maybe your viewers might not know what a record store is. It's not a place where you go to record. It's a place where you go to buy music. And we'd buy vinyl records. And
put vinyl on the screen for the younger viewer.
And Dad used to love Bob Marley, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, the Beatles, the Eagles, so many different diverse.
Where did he get his exposure? Because that is rich. You talk about Sinatra and Bob in the same sentence.
To be honest with you, my dad was low-key a musician, and I only found out like 2 or 3 years ago that he used to be in a band in Mombasa. This had been kept under lock and key for all our lives. And my dad really loved music. So what he would do is his pastime was always just go buy the records, play the records, sit down, enjoy it. And I'd watch this guy savoring the sound. And that got me interested in how do they make those melodies and sounds and stuff. And fast forward to about the 80s, and I'd be watching Phil Collins concerts and live music and trying to figure out, so what is that? Oh, that's the piano. Oh, what's it called? Oh, right. Interesting. And I'd just be absorbing all of these things. And little did I know that I was developing an interest in a career that later became my music production career. So childhood had me loving music, but also getting in a lot of trouble because I had this thing of, and when I train people, I always tell them, tinker. Tinker, tinker, tinker.
What do you mean by tinker?
How does this work? How was it made? If I dismantle it, can I put it back together?
Positive curiosity.
Yeah. So I would really tinker with stuff. I would tinker with the record player. I would get my ass whooped. I would tinker with the television and then pretend the lightning struck and the TV got spoiled. Dad, sorry. I would mess around with electronics and all different diverse pieces of things. And I would always be in my mind. I think also because I was a firstborn, I tended to stick to myself and try and just be creative in my own head. You know, when you're the eldest, you're always like, you're in your head because there's nobody else to talk to. And everybody else is much bigger than your uncles and aunties. And they're bullying and picking on you. So I ended up really just being an adventurous spirit in my head and trying to be creative as well. So fast forward, when I started figuring out how pianos are played, there was no YouTube. There was literally... we just had a piano at home, and somebody one day, a girl I really wanted this girl.
Yeah.
So she comes home, and her parting shot is, you have a piano at home and you don't know how to play? Shame on you.
Ooh.
As soon as I escorted her out, I was like, God
today
damn.
is the day. It's so funny what for men, man, the things that make us do what we do, man, in pursuit. In pursuit.
I know. And I figured out how to play piano. Then I figured out how to sequence. Yes.
Wow.
How to sequence music. Now, luckily, I was starting my musical journey at an era when the computers were just coming into the fray of the music.
Late 80s.
Late 80s, yes. And I had an Atari 1040 STE.
So a decent background. If you could afford an Atari, you were...
Somebody gifted it to me, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I was just gifted an Atari. And it's a gaming computer.
Yes.
Could save only 786 MB, full stop.
Which was colossal at the time.
Bro, it was massive. That was like, how many songs? 3 songs.
Wow.
But that was just the MIDI musical interface device, the MIDI notes. So it was just the zeros and ones that it would save. And then you'd have to plug it to a keyboard, and then the keyboard would play back what you had sequenced. So I started just trying to copy beats. And remember, late 80s, Babyface was coming out as a music producer. So I'd watch Babyface and I'd be like, oh, okay, so he has a keyboard and he's got these sounds, and I tried to mimic the sounds. And then it dawned on me, why is it that in Kenya we've got Swahili service, which is like River Road type music, and then general service, which is like English music, R&B and country music and stuff, but we don't have something that is 100% urban Kenyan? Why is it that we don't have this sound? And so I started to...
So wait, this time you've already come back?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. And that's for context also. I got to ask, because I don't want to touch on it loosely. When you say tinkering, when you say start trying to experiment, are you... I would imagine somewhat obsessive almost, like your hours and hours and hours.
Bro.
I just want the viewer to understand that.
Okay, you know, people say this, and I've seen a lot of people say the 10,000 hour rule of you have to spend 10,000 hours to become a pro at this.
Yes.
I would literally wake up in the morning, do not shower. The keyboard was right next to my bed. I would wake up, sit on that chair. At 9 p.m. is when I'm going to figure, oh, I haven't eaten. From morning till night, every day, the only time I would leave that room, I was in a gospel group at the time. The only time I would leave that room is if we're going to perform. If we're not performing, I'm in that room, and you'll find me there constantly obsessing about, how did they do that? Can I do that? What do I need to do that? Because there's no YouTube, there's no reference of, there's only magazines.
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, that musical journey became an exploration of, if the West is doing it and I can do this fusion, if I can get this Kikuyu phrase into this R&B beat, what is the outcome? Are people going to like it? I didn't even look for a name for it. I was just like, are people going to dig it? Like, yeah, this sounds like general service music, but it also sounds very me.
Yes.
Because I know this tune, but I also know this beat.
Yes.
So I started exploring like that a lot, just doing R&B fusion, because
that's so ahead of its time. Like that was...
It was, but I didn't know, at the time. I'm just like doing what I know, because, you've listened to Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing, you've listened to Hiki being sung in school, and then you're like, what if I auto-tune Hiki and then put it on a Marvin Gaye beat? And this is 1995, bro. People didn't even know autotune existed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always wonder, is our challenge as a people, let me speak specifically for Kenya.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that we sometimes lack access? Because even entertainment-wise, like even the barriers I'm trying to break, I'm trying to transcend what is mass appeal based on what's out there already. So when you're thinking about fusing those two sounds in that what's been done at an expert level, but touches on home, is it that people there was not yet a yearning, or people didn't even let their minds go there?
People hadn't thought, because we had been, again, it's very easy to pigeonhole human beings. It's also very easy to just drive them like cows. So imagine a generation that knows that there's country music, there's R&B music, and there's soul music. It's all called general service. And then there's Swahili service, idhaa ya taifa ya Kenya, which is going to play for you Katitu Boys na band, and that's about it, and give you news. So you're either of this clique or of that clique. And me growing up, I'm like, I've traveled so much, I'm not of anybody's clique. I like these guys and I like these guys and I want to bring them together. You know, the music that I want to play, I want to make, I want it played on a cross platform.
Yes.
Because these guys like this music and these guys like this music, but we're being divided into class systems. And up till this present day, there's a lot of classism that happens. But back in the 80s and 70s and 80s, it was horrible because it was a way of subjugating people to certain class systems. So you knew that your house help was going to be listening to Swahili service. What happened if you left your kids with your house help? They'd be listening to Swahili service.
Yes. It would happen even when I think about growing up. A lot of the Lingala songs I ended up knowing is because now, of course, parents are away.
Yeah.
And now the house help will play whatever she wants to play.
Exactly.
And by the time my folks are coming from work, it's Animina Malembe. And they're wondering, where did this happen?
Where did yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then your folks come in the evening and they're listening to general service, and so you follow the tune. But in your mind, there's this fusion of cultures. That's a DNA that's being written. And that's what happened to me. And also, having traveled so much and having experienced different cultures, I always felt like it would be beautiful to bring the cultures together. You know, fuse your experiences into music.
So what's the environment in that time? Because we kind of had I'll just be free. We were living under some form of dictatorship. And how was arts being received?
Hostility. I recall being in A levels, and I was an artist, so I was doing art, fine art, history, and geography. We were considered the problem to the government because we were the more free-spirited thinkers, because we're doing history, we're doing geography, we're learning about Thatcherism, we're learning about African history and American history and European history. And the scientists aren't really them. They're just, where's the zeros and ones and how the moleculing.
So you guys could see the cracks.
But us guys are the free thinkers.
Yeah.
So even if you look back at the people who caused chaos in universities, they were always the literature students and the philosophy students. There was never one scientist who came up and said, oh, we are going to get freedom from this. You know, all Kenya was all about historians and literature scholars and professors.
So how do you navigate that? How do you stay on the right side of things while still pursuing your passion?
Well, what I did was I just made music, bro. I fell in the cracks of not being able to go to uni because the government that was decided to give my grades to somebody else in another tribe because that's what they would do at the time. And my grades were given to somebody else, and I missed out on uni, so I went to Kenya Poly. And I was like, you know what? I actually didn't want to become an artist. I'm a fine artist as well.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do it. I didn't feel it was cool. I didn't want to become a painter.
Yes.
I could do it, but I didn't want to do it. So I became a graphic designer. And moving into the musical journey, I embraced that graphic design and photography and stuff. So a lot of the first CD covers that you see are artworks that I had done myself or directed myself, because it was just a part of what I did. And I avoided politics as much as possible because I knew you fuse music with politics, somebody's going to get pissed off and you're going to disappear. And I didn't want to disappear, bro.
And it's a time where people are disappearing. Like you hear of so and so. And
it was the Mwakenya period where even if you're in a bar and you're more than 4 people,
you guys have gathered.
You're going to be picked up.
Yeah.
End of story. It was the single state, single party state era.
I think for the viewer, sometimes we take for granted some of the liberties we now enjoy. I'm doing a podcast here with Ted Josiah on a loose it's Monday or Tuesday, because we've been able to overcome some of this, some of the worst tenets of subjugation and control, because wow, even the guts to continue to pursue art in such a time. I'm sure many people gave up. Many people ended up pursuing things we're probably not interested in.
A lot of my friends just ended up going abroad and, pursuing careers abroad and living in the States, living in the UK and migrating all over the place. I was really passionate, and I'm still passionate about Kenya and Africa. So I decided I'm not really going anywhere for the minute. If I'm going to be a problem, then let me be a problem right here. And what happened was, fast forward to 1997, the political class realized that we might be a problem, me and Heartstone.
Yes.
So they asked us to write a song for the presidential campaign worth X amount of money, which was 10 times more than I had ever seen in my whole musical career. I think everybody was being paid like 300,000 per person, and with 3 guys.
300,000 in 97 is
it was a lot of money, bro. Yeah, it was a lot. And so we went and wrote the song, and the guy took the song and never released it.
Why?
He just wanted to make sure that we don't write a song for anybody else.
Wow.
Do you understand? So that was good political play. I mean, I should give it up to them. But again, fast forward to 2002, Ted, did he learn? No, he went and did Unbogable. And Unbogable.
Well, I'm going to stop you there. Let's not rush through Unbogable. Unbogable, the year is what? 2002.
Yeah.
I am turning 12. The government is about to change for the first time. For context, I remember us guys grew up knowing our folks are frustrated. Biashara is not working out, or it's just patapotea. And there was this wave of hope. And so integral to this wave of hope was Unbogable. I didn't even know what Unbogable meant, but to me it felt like unbeatable as a collective, as a country.
Yes.
This guy is going and we're all together. And you are at...
Yeah.
What was the backroom process of Unbogable? How did you put that play together?
I've said this many times. Giddy came up with the word. Giddy's very good at coining words. And he said, I think unbeatable should be unbogable. And it rang in my head so loud that I was like, yeah, that sounds grungy and rough and mean and loud. So let's make something that's close to hip-hop rock. I didn't quite tell them that. I just went into my head and that's what I thought. So if you listen to that song, it has a lot of distortion because rock has distortion in it. Exactly.
Oh my God.
And it has a lot of loud, chorusy vocals.
You can almost envision a crowd while listening to the song.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's what I went for. And no Fruity Loops, no auto-tune, no nothing, bro. You make the beat how you heard it in your head. So I made the beat how I heard it in my head using keyboards and the instruments I had. And what happened was after a lot of Kenya cane and at 8:30 in the morning, I think we finished that process within like 40 minutes. I gave them the rough demo to go and rehearse.
Yes.
They went and released the demo. So what you hear is the demo.
And that's been what has been.
That's been it.
Did Unbogable, apart from the colossal earthquake effect it had on shaping the way Kenya is now governed, and the way a quote-unquote dictator was almost forced out through the voice of the people and somewhat the ballot.
Yeah.
Did you make money? Was there financial gain?
Bro. If any of those guys say they never made money, it's a huge lie. It's a humongous lie. We all made money. I went and I wasn't very good in investing in self. I was good in investing in, remember, I like to tinker. I went straight to the UK and bought the biggest studio I could possibly buy and brought it back to Kenya. That enabled me to do Necessary Noise the way I wanted to do it. So the sound of Necessary Noise was very big. It enabled me to do Dig and do a whole host of other projects. But in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. I think I was flying too close to the sun.
And does a framework in the music industry exist like the West, where conventional royalties and masters?
You had to go there.
Or is it a touchy topic? I don't.
I made as much money as there is liquid in this bottle.
So who makes the money? The artist?
Well, I hear there's a couple of guys who've consumed a lot of proceeds from royalties who are not musicians, who are supposed to be in charge of collection, who have since pocketed quite a lot and built some massive estates and stuff.
Are they aligned to government?
They are aligned to government.
Because the reason I bring this up, actually, because we're in a global village, is what's happening in the West now is most artists who are maybe out in the 90s, 2000s have come of age in terms of understanding their worth, etc. And they look back at the contracts they signed and they realize a lot of the times they were literally signing their lives away in perpetuity. Even off camera, we were discussing like Diddy.
Yeah.
Diddy was one of the biggest vipers when it came to this. Where in Kenya it's called exposure. We'll pay you in exposure. So, wow, Unbogable was massive, was colossal. So were there corners of the country, because of course one side won, which meant one side lost, and you had an impact in one side winning. Did that other side go away quietly, or did you end up?
Oh, they went away very quietly. It was too big to silence. They tried to pay us off to kill the song, but the song was big, larger than us, so there was nothing we could do, bro. You know, it is what it is. Unbogable became, I think, what I will be known for the rest of my life, which is not, it's not the biggest song I've ever produced. It's not, I mean, I've been on soundtracks that have won Oscars and people don't even know, you know. I've done music for film scores that people don't even know. And
you're gonna score for me an intro for my podcast, and you don't even know.
Well, I'm not in the studio anymore, and you don't even know. Me and music have a love-hate relationship. It's like that girlfriend that you don't really want to leave, but you know you need to leave because she's bad.
But you can never entirely let go. Yeah, it's a bit. I'm sure you still have an instrument in your house.
You know, you're a married man. You shouldn't be saying that. I do have a couple of instruments. I have a studio, yes, but I just go and sit in there
and reminisce.
No, I just sit. It's a quiet place. It's soundproof. So when I want to run away from my daughter, I lock myself.
You're a positively eclectic guy, and that tends to be most artists. And I think it's a beauty about artists. I'm sure for you, there's an artistic, something poetic about going and sitting in there and having your peace of mind.
You know, most people don't like silence. I've realized.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to have something on, music in the background, or be in a kitchen, or be next to a television. And for me, the beautiful space for me is always silence, because then I can hear my thoughts and I can try and piece my craziness together.
So more it goes, Unbogable happens, changes the game, changes a whole shift in terms of how we view politics in Kenya. So what did you do in that once we call him the main man Bax came in?
As soon as he came in, I gave him a headache as well, which wasn't a good idea, because he quickly ended my musical career.
Yeah.
I was into television and film and music production, so I had combined all of them. So I was doing TV shows like VP with Akina Mongolo,
yes,
which also was cutting edge for its time. I was doing Necessary Noise, Kenyan Boy, Kenyan Girl. That's when that album came out. I was still working with Akina Gidi.
These are cultural moments. Necessary Noise, if you guys remember, man, like moments in time.
And then working with Susanna Owio, who was an Afrofusion artist, Achingabura, Afrofusion artist, Unasi, Afrofusion artist. So we won RFI, BBC, a lot of those awards with those Afrofusion artists, because I got tired of now fusing R&B and traditional dialect stuff, and or fusing hip hop with Kalamashaka. You know, we had straight urban Swahili fused with hip hop, straight urban hip hop, no African, nothing on it. The only thing that was African was the language, which was Sheng, which wasn't even, I don't even think it was deemed as African. It was deemed as a, you know, derogatory language. We changed the music industry and the entertainment and advertising industry because everybody was afraid to advertise using Sheng. Everybody would use English, pure English.
Yes, very, very
Buy Life Boy, it's good for you. And us guys came out and like, Life Boy ni power.
You know, so wait, that is a big shift because
it was massive.
Because advertising, conventional advertising during, especially prime time, because prime time is what, you know, we'd gather around by the TV, parents watching news, and then in the ad roll, yes, it was always some generic.
Exactly.
So you guys are the ones who changed that.
We messed things up to a point where Scan had called us in and asked us to help them with the tagline for Trust, the condoms, because
Ukifrik bila socks.
That's my line.
Oh my goodness.
Me and Kalamashaka wrote that down.
No diggy trip. Ukifrik bila socks. So I was I think 9, and around the time, I always say if Kenya fought corruption the way we fought AIDS, because for me, growing up, AIDS was shoved down our throats and condoms. Ukifrik bila socks as early as 9. I remember we'd be looking at the newspaper at the back, and me and my cousin like, Ukifrik bila socks.
Exactly. That was
so we grew up as a recovering alcoholic myself. Even at the worst of worst, I always knew that you have to strap up. That was a no
go zone.
So I wish you could campaign with the same zeal. So you guys.
Yes. We coined that. We were promised heaven and earth if it went through, and we walked into the agency and were given a check of 7,000 bob, and we looked at them and we left the check there. We told them, you know what, stay with the check. We've actually made the point.
Yes,
you guys are now using Sheng in your commercials. That's what we wanted. So you're pushing the culture. We have liberated ourselves from the colonial mindset.
Where do you get that consciousness to even think like that?
Bro, look, we were taken as slaves. There's a lot of history that's brushed under the carpet about what the Portuguese did to the Bantu women and why Portugal has a lot of beautiful women to this date, and how they would come and just take anything that looked beautiful. There's a lot of hidden secrets about the Hola massacre that led to our independence. The thousands of people who were killed, the Mau Mau who were raped and damaged psychologically and mentally, and the whole Kikuyu community almost, brought to its knees.
Where can we find like literature specifically on?
You can't find all of it because it's really being hidden. And for me, the whole thing is this. Look, okay, so you guys came and attempted to do all of that to us and we're still standing. So let's do this. Let's stand even more, and let's create many more thinkers and many more freedom fighters who can, in the wise words of Bob Nestor Marley, emancipate ourselves from mental
None
slavery.
But ourselves
exactly.
Can free our mind.
Because if we don't do that, if we don't push back, what's going to happen is, you just think 20 years from now, are your kids going to be able to play a traditional instrument from your village? Just one. Are they going to be able to make it? Are they going to have the palate for the traditional food that you grew up on? And I say this not just for you, but for all of us. Can our children name 3 musical instruments from their tradition? Kids in England can. A violin is traditionally.
Yes.
So what have they done with quote unquote classical music?
And I love that you use the word attempt, because it shows that it was an attempt and they failed to
They-
take. I love
yes.
that. That's a very strong sentiment.
So we have to reverse the trend and take back what is ours rightfully, culturally, land, mentally, our thought process. Like now, my thought process is always now pushing back on religion. And why did you give me this religion? And how come you didn't follow this religion? Why was it convenient for you to sell me as a slave and me not to sell you as a slave? Why was it convenient for you to come into my land and take it over and then charge me taxes? Am I renting my life from you?
And
Because that's what I think it is.
and where our ancestors before the missionaries, like, did they go to hell? You know, when you start thinking deeper, you're like, huh?
No, they didn't go to hell.
No, those are the questions
exactly.
that people don't even dare ask because
It's taboo.
it's taboo to ask. And man, even my producer here, I'm sure right now, sounds Christian, but there's some questions that just don't add up about the doctrine that sometimes we need to just have the bravery to think. And for me, some of the things you're talking about emboldens the idea of free thought, irrespective of whatever stimuli is around, you know?
Just because somebody told you that this is law doesn't mean that it's law. And laws seem to be conveniently created for those who want to oppress the masses.
Yes.
And for me, that is an absolute no, because we have to have more free thinkers who push the boundaries, the borders and everything. What are our kids going to be, bro? Are they going to be slaves in our own country because of carbon credit?
Which is happening as we speak, actually.
You know, carbon colonization.
So is this how you raise? Because I know you're a father as well.
Yes.
So is this how you also, have you raised your kids to be?
She questions, and I don't suppress her thought process. I want her to be a free thinker. And I was called to school the other day and I was told, you know, she's doing very well in everything else. But, you know, this whole religion thing, it's like she doesn't have a hold on it. Maybe you need to take her to watch a few more Christian movies. And I was like, bro, that's exactly what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Even if she scores a 0 in religion,
Means nothing.
I'm not raising a vicar. I'm not raising a vicar at all. I'm raising a free thinker. This Africa moving forward is going to have a lot more free thinkers. And if she's holding on to the old ways, what's going to happen is she's going to disappear. You know, if she can't play her traditional instruments, if she can't make her traditional foods, and she's busy, you know, consuming noodles because it's quick, what's going to happen to her?
Man, that's some profound things you're saying. So as you were navigating all of this, I know you've been married twice, if you don't mind sharing.
Not twice, well, married twice, yes, well. Wow, you make it look like I'm a bad boy.
No.
I am not part of P. Diddy's crew. That word bad boy came out accidentally.
No, Diddy, that's the term. So you are at the forefront of culture.
Yeah.
At some point, you're at the forefront of politics. What's the backdrop? What does your home life look like at this point?
Chaotic. When you're a young man, you're experimenting in a lot of things. Your relationships are experimental. You've never done this before. Your life is about adventure. You're not grounded, you're not settled. You can't quite say you're settled. You're settled, but you're not settled, you know. You still want to push the boundaries here and there. So I had a lot of chaos because I think I thrive in chaos. And I've come to terms with the fact that I thrive in chaos. So I know how to contain the madness and how to use it to my advantage. But it wasn't always easy for me. By the time I lost Jay's mom, I was at a point where I had already given up on life even before I lost her. Because I was like, okay, so what am I really doing? I don't want to be in the studio I don't want to make music. I don't want to train people on television production. I feel like the whole television production, TV stations are about to die. So I'm caught up in a dinosaur that's going extinct. What am I going to do? Where am I going to be? And I had all of these questions in my head, and then boom, Jay's mom passes away. I'm left with a 3-month-old child, and I'm like, all right, how do I do this?
That's shock on shock.
How do I do this?
Losing your wife, man. How? There's no easy way to ask, man. Like,
it's messed up. And September for me, we're doing this interview in September. September for me is always it's turbulent. There are nights I can sleep, there are nights I can't sleep. There are days when I just sit down and I start crying for no apparent reason. This was the only human who believed in me. Only. And God decides, without warning, to take her. And I'm like, yo, bro. And I'm being a nice guy here. You know I can be a bad boy, you know? And I'm being a really nice guy here. Why did you just pull that on me? And it's been 7 years now. Looking back, I can say this. It was an unfortunate situation that happened, but it made me a better human. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, let me use Bible phrases. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his own son. God sacrificed his own son. God will have you sacrifice something so close and precious to you that breaks you to a point that it makes you a whole different person. It's like the phoenix had to rise from the ashes, but it can only rise if there's ashes. And the Bible says this. God says, I will give you beauty for your ashes. So where are your ashes? We all want beauty. But yo, bro, yeah, for us to get that beauty, there's going to be some ashes.
So does with all sensitivities, does one ever heal, or it's just a continuous process?
You walk with a limp, and you just learn how to walk with that limp. I've said this in a previous interview. Jonathan McReynolds, the song Walking with My Limp. You just learn to adapt to it. It gets easier to deal with time, but it's not like a disease where you're going to get better with time. And you had COVID, now you don't have COVID, bro. It's not like that. The person you love, once they're gone, end of story. Deal with it.
As a married man, I genuinely believe I love my wife. I can't even imagine. And I resonate with the only person who believes in you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
It's a superpower.
Yeah.
Especially for men.
Because we know we're dickheads. Yeah. You know what I mean? Am I allowed to say that story?
Feel free, man. Every other time with Eric is a free platform. EU, man.
Yeah, but men, we know, even if we're pastors, we know that, bro.
Deep down, man.
Yeah, there's just something about me that should not be loved. And this human is loving me.
Wholeheartedly, with no holding back. And they also tether us in some sense.
Yes.
They act as a tether because us guys are crazy.
Yeah.
So now, does love or relationship something that even crosses your mind moving forward?
Yes, it does. And my daughter's called Wendo. Wendo means love. Wendo means a visitor of love. I believe in love. I thrive for love, bro. I'm not searching. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah.
I'm happy where I am right now. I believe that the people who are in my life love me, and I love them back. I hope that this sequence of my life moving forward has a lot more positivity and less ashes, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, but you apart from being a globetrotter, so to speak. You've also globetrotted against your own will, where you were exiled. How does it feel to be exiled from home? Like you're no longer welcome in your country.
I feel safe. I didn't want to die. I like life. But it also feels sad. Very, very sad, because I love Africa. And not being able to be in Kenya because I made a commercial that pissed somebody off, and they decided, you know what, off this guy. And
What commercial is this?
so there was a commercial that I did in 2007 called Domo Domo. Usitufunge Domo.
I think I remember it briefly.
Yes, Domo Domo.
Yes.
And
that got you out of here.
Mad quick fast.
Wow.
Mad quick fast. As in, the first lady went on television and said, can you please go and tell those people who are meddling in our adverts to stop? And the message was sent. Yes, I was visited, how Gen Z visit guys. But now it was the cops who are visiting, and plainclothes guys. It wasn't a good time. And then I got really, what's the word? Disillusioned by politics. Because here I was believing in a political drive and principle that we are actually running a campaign that is based on manifestos, and we are going to alleviate poverty and A, B, C, D, and X, Y, Z.
Idealistic, huh?
Exactly. And I'm thinking, yeah, kumbe, bro, smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean?
So do you advise our current guys? Because I look at the Bonnies of this world,
Yeah.
Boniface Mwangi,
Yeah.
noble as it may be. I can imagine a point when I juxtaposition myself into his shoes. Sometimes I would almost hate the people. Because here I am fighting for you and trying to aspire for a greater country altogether. Yet when things get tough, I'm almost alone. And then sometimes you guys are okay being oppressed. So I can't imagine what that's like mentally, you know? And then when did the bubble break? Because that idealistic thing that we all have until that moment in time, and then you realize, wait, this is not what I thought it was.
So I'm in the UK, not by my will. I'm owed money by a political party. They're meant to send me this money. I want to go to film school with this money. Simple. You owe me the money, let me pay film school, let me go to film school. I'm out of your hair, you're out of my hair. I'm enjoying making movies. And then they didn't. And then they just went silent. And then all my connects within the party started looking at me like the outsider and not picking my calls. And when I'd call them, they'd look at me like, you know what, you go die. And then I had to figure stuff out by myself. And I thought to myself, you know what, if that's how people are going to operate, the people that you trust, believe in, and would die for, then you better start believing in yourself,
your loved ones.
dying for yourself, and building yourself. And at that point, I was just like, you know what, forget it. When I look at what happens with politics and what happens with the new generation of freedom fighters, I commend them for what they're doing because it's noble. But politics is so putrid and filthy. It is so full of poison that, in all honesty, you are going to get stung by that bee. You're going to get bit by that venomous snake. And you're going to have to deal with having to remove the poison from your mind, from your body, from your family, And are you cut out for that? If you're not cut out for that, then bro.
And also the troops that rally behind, especially in today's world where we have social media, so you have a force of 400,000 people behind you. The moment something happens, people move on. Like,
yeah.
I'm seeing what's happening in the current, with like Morara, for example. I mean, people change tune so fast. Like you, all of a sudden, like guys are willing to move on, and it's such a sad state.
It is popcorn generation, bro. But also, what as a human, let me not say as a man, because this cuts to both genders. As a human, what is your purpose in life? Jesus went through the same stuff and died in his 30s. We killed him. Yet he came to fight
save us
for our rights. Bob Marley died in his 30s. Dedan Kimathi, if he was alive today, most likely he would have been taken by those dark cars that come and take people, and people are found dead
or never
unalived, you know, or never found, and we would have said R.I.P. and moved on. Do I want to be Dedan Kimathi? Hell no. That's it. Am I a bad person for that? Hell no, because that's not my purpose in life. I know what my purpose in life is. Is Dedan Kimathi a bad person for charting that journey? Hell no. That was his purpose.
What's your purpose in life?
To show that it can be done where people say it can't be done. That's it. It can be done.
You don't understand on so many levels. You keep speaking to my soul, man. And I think for me, that's why I really insisted on having you on, because I identified that specific thing where against all odds, you know,
Yes.
where it looks impossible. And you've done it time and time again. But before we get to jokajok, I want to you said film school, because you have been also at the center of a lot of films.
Yes.
What was that? What is film school like?
So I wanted to go to film school. I wanted to go to London Film School. My brother ended up going to London Film School instead of me. I applied. I got accepted. The powers that be did not send me the money. No hard feelings. May you rot in hell. But what happened was, you know, when you put it out in the universe will give it to you in one way or another. So I ended up being recruited in London by a company called Steel Drum Studios, and they were an animation studio, and they were dabbling in film and animation and moving image and those kind of things. And they said, your work is crap, absolutely crap, but we will train you. We see something there, we'll train it. And they trained me for a full year. And the nuggets of knowledge that I acquired push me to this day. Literally push me to this day. It's like God wanted me to be in London to meet a certain caliber of people, for those people to nurture me, train me, hone my skills, and for me to also experience a certain lifestyle that I would then be able to extrapolate and create in Africa, you know? And I look back now and I'm like, okay, it was a painful 7 years, but it had a purpose.
Would you say mentorship is important for anyone who's aspiring for greatness?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't want to lie about that. I don't think mentorship is important. I don't think people actually listen to the mentors. I think there's a lot of you know what you're supposed to be doing. Your mentor is just reminding you what you're supposed to be doing. Why do you need somebody to remind you what your purpose is, if that's really your purpose? Unless you want somebody to just justify your existence and give you that little star.
Wow.
You know?
A lot of the times, in fact, you've hit the nail on the head. Sometimes I think we seek affirmation.
Yeah.
And sometimes we seek it in the wrong place. You just want that pat on the back to just keep going on. Yet, just keep trudging on.
Exactly. It's not going to be easy, bro. There's no easy road. The other day I was thinking about this. I was thinking about wins. Everybody wants a quick win. Everybody wants a quick win. Nobody wants to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's 2 W's. The work comes before the win.
The win.
And the win will never come without the work. And people don't want to put in the work.
And the win is a relentless pursuit. I mean, for you to get where you want to go in anything, even to just reach a level that's quote unquote decent, leave alone extraordinary.
So I like boxing. AJ lost.
Man, that was disappointing.
Yeah.
I wish I put money on Dubois. The stakes were so lopsided.
But before that, AJ had won a lot, and we knew him as a winner.
You think he got lazy?
And we saw AJ as always winning. And he got knocked down, and all of a sudden we look at him like, but bro, it's part of life. Life is about winning and losing and winning and losing. But what do you have to do? Put in the work. If AJ is gonna win again, what does he have to do?
Put in that work.
Put in the work. So how the hell are you gonna be a billionaire without putting in the work, without losing at some point, without your behind being kicked to the curb and everybody saying that you're an absolute loser? They shouldn't have put their money on you.
And losing is if you take it well and you understand it and you pick up yourself, it's one of the best things. Me being who I am today comes from I struggled with alcoholism for 15 years.
Wow.
I mean, some of the hardest rock bottoms, but I would never take it back. As selfish as that may sound to some of the people maybe I affected, my family financially, I would never take it back because it's what drives me in so many ways. Those levels of losses was so important for me to be able to think and do what I do, how I want to do it. So people need to understand, especially a specific, I'm speaking to my generation and below, the work part. You're seeing Ted here, you're hearing his story. There's been so much work by the time we have jokajok
exactly
on this lovely table. So let's talk about jokajok, because man, is this where you thought you'd end up and so successful?
Absolutely not.
What was the inception or the birth?
First
of all, this is so beautiful, man.
This is our Camacho. It's our scorpion bag, because it does look like a scorpion, I think. That's the head of the scorpion. The tail is somewhere back here.
Yeah.
And also because it has this beautiful Maasai beadwork there, done by somebody from the Ma, for real. And why this bag? This bag is because of one very selfish reason. What do you call a scorpion in your mother tongue, bro?
Wow. Got me flat-footed.
What do you call a scorpion in your mother tongue? What tribe are you?
I'm Luya.
You're Luya. Go and ask. It's also so that we can start asking ourselves those cultural questions. And that's why we called it Kingangi in Kamba. It's Kingangi.
Kingangi.
Yes, in Kikuyu it's also Kingangi. Kingangi is also crab. I think anything that had that bite, people assumed was, Kingangi. In Luo it's Thomoni, which means that you're going to feel pain till you feel like you're almost dying. In Spanish, this is called Camacho.
Camacho.
After my favorite cigar. Why bags? I started my journey of bags because, one, when I left Kenya, I left with a carry-on and a laptop bag. And bro, I lived in that suitcase for 7 good years.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, when I get home, if I ever make bags, I'm going to make bags that do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I'd be walking on the high street. I got a job right off Oxford Circus. Oxford Circus is the high street where everybody comes to shop for all the brands and everything. And I'd be walking on Oxford Circus to work and looking at these brands, walking into the stores, looking at how they've placed their products, looking at how the ladies are arranging the mannequins in the morning, how the lighting is, how they're paying attention to the sound, how they're paying attention to the fragrance in the store, how they're paying attention to all of these things. And I started looking at the retail world and asking myself, okay, how come we don't have an African brand on Oxford Circus? Why is it? Yet there's so many Africans here shopping. What the hell is wrong with us?
Yeah.
And that thought just, it stayed in my head. And then I came back, met Jay's mom. She liked fashion. I liked music. I liked fashion. She liked music. We thought, let's fuse the two together. And what happened was, in our journey, part of what we wanted to do before she left was wanted to do bags. and we're looking for where can we find leather bags because we think this is a really cool idea. So jokajok has two meanings. It's my grandmother from my mom's side is original jokajok, and she told me about the journey, the Luo migration from Misri, which people call Egypt, but we call Misri, down the Nile, all the way to where we were. And two, it's Josiah, J-O, my daughter, Qatar, K-A, Josiah, me, Kenya. So that's two meanings. That's why jokajok. And you have an A-man, if you look closely, there's a figure, which is the Black Pharaoh.
I can zoom into this.
And we call him the A-man because he stands to protect Africa and to remind us to protect Africa always.
Wow. That's deep.
So
you can see that? You can see the man, the A-man?
Yes.
And the quality, man. This is...
It's pure leather, 100% leather. What people don't know about leather, and I hope I have a device of mass destruction in here, which I do. Great, lovely. So, this is the beauty of leather. This is a very hot flame. It's not like a matchbox.
Yes.
It's a blue flame. Can you see any smoke?
Not at all. Not at all, yeah.
Just a little patch. And if I oil this up, you'll never know.
So
it's very hard to burn leather.
Yes, yes.
So leather is a legacy item, and I wanted to create a legacy brand that outlives us. It was partly inspired by a bag that my mom used to carry that was given to her in 1969 by my granddad. A leather bag that I still have to date. It has stood the test of time.
Survived.
And I thought, I want to make bags that, you know, you can tell your child, hey, or your grandson, have this. It has taken me through a beautiful journey. I hope it takes you through a beautiful journey.
Can we collaborate on a flight bag? I
would love to. I would love to.
I have a ready market of quite a few people.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would really, really love to.
Okay, that'll be wonderful, man.
Yeah.
And I saw from some of your videos, I mean, the positive cause and effect. You've now employed the ripple effect of the industry you're in, and just having your own.
It's huge. It's huge. Value add in Africa is understated because what they want to do is keep us jobless, throw us a handout, as opposed to us actually just taking our raw material, value adding it, and selling it to them. For instance, coffee. They'd rather take the green bean. So we do all the hard work of growing the coffee, pay the farmer 100 shillings a kilo, and move on. Yet when you go to Starbucks and buy the same kilo, it's $60.
Yes.
Hello, you paid $1 for this thing. How does it become $60? Because you roasted it.
So the colonialism is continuing.
It's still there.
It's still happening.
And I think to myself, no, it's time for us as Africans to take back what belongs to us respectfully. It's mine. It's not I'm stealing it. It's mine. It's in my land. Let me just take back my leather, create a brand that can then compete with the Italians and the Europeans and put it out there, and it can create jobs. It's not jobs just for me. It's jobs for the stitchers. It's jobs for the cutters. It's more money for the farmer. It's more money for the pastoralist. It's more money for the tanner. It's more money for the person who's doing retail, because now they're not just importing some Chinese thing and selling it for 2 bob,
And this leather is unique to Kenya, right?
This is 100% Kenyan leather, bro.
Yes.
The only thing that's not Kenyan here is the zip. Even the coin is an original East African coin.
Wow.
I think it has a year on it.
Can we get used to the idea of by us? We can be as good, if not way better. So building your brand, how do you get to the point where New York Fashion Week are like, yo, we love it?
I throw things into the universe a lot. And then people also tend to throw things at me a lot. And I remember somebody in California, what's that shopping strip called? Rodeo Drive.
Yeah.
She bought one of our first jokajokes and went and stood in Rodeo Drive and took a photograph with it and posted it and then said, this brand is going to do New York Fashion Week. That was like 5 years ago. I was like, yeah, let me just try and get 300 bob to buy a token for electricity today. But yeah, I believe you. But that was put in the universe. And it's so funny. My business partner, Kathy, was in the States setting up our Houston department. Somebody reaches out and says, hey, guess what? We want you to do New York Fashion Week. And she calls me and I say, yeah, whatever, man. And he says, no, for real. This is real. As in, I have to go. And at the same time, same week, I was being called for the Milan Fashion Week.
Wow.
Same week. And I said, well, we're going to have to sacrifice one of them. You do the US, do New York Fashion Week. We will figure out Italy and Europe and the rest of the world next year. Let's just have one good win as opposed to trying to stretch ourselves too thin and losing out. So that's how it happened. Literally.
Please tell me you're documenting all of this, because this is something that can be packaged up nicely and sold in terms of the story.
You know what? I try to document it. I'm realizing that as this thing grows, I'm going to need a bigger team, because this is much bigger than TED. This is much bigger. I'm just in the driving seat right now, and at some point I'm going to have to back away from the driving seat.
And not to be vain, and I said this with all due respect, I had to help you get directions here, and I got to see a bit of the fruits of your labor. By way of some of the things you have. So it's also now paying off. And of course, for artists, I think that's a part that's also sometimes forgotten. Like now when it actually pays off, and probably even maybe life-changingly so, how does that feel as well? Combined with just the appreciation that you get.
I'm one of those guys who I'm so used to being in the trenches that when I put on a clean suit, it feels wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember, I think I get this from my granddad. My granddad used to be a farmer, and at one point he was sick, so we had come to Nairobi, and we'd have these long days where we're waiting for the doctor, and we're in my aunt's house and we're just chilling, and like time is not moving. And my granddad used to say, this is what people do in Nairobi. I can't just sit and do nothing. Because we were used to waking up in the morning, going, milking the cows, cutting the grass for the cows, taking them to the river, doing the harvest of maize by hand, literally, and all of that. And for me, being in the trenches doing the work is more pleasurable than what people see as, oh, look what he's driving. Oh, look what he's wearing. Bro, what I'm wearing is made in Kenya. That's what makes me proud of it. Does it look good? I don't know.
It looks amazing.
But the fact that it's made in Kenya for me is the amazing part. Do you know what I mean? And the labor of bringing it to life, that's what gets me going. So to answer your question, I don't know that you should ever appreciate those wins, because it's like a flower, bro. Are you gonna celebrate that in your garden the rose bloomed? I mean, yeah, you enjoy it, but at some point the bloom is not going to bloom. Now, do you think about the fact that the bloom is not going to bloom anymore, the rose is not going to bloom anymore? Or do you nurture it for the next season? Do you know what I mean? So the wins aren't what it's about. It's the work, bro. It's the work.
Wow, Ted Josiah, man. As in, for me personally, inspired. I'm so inspired. I feel emboldened to keep doing what I'm doing. I just ask that you say something to my viewers before you go, something inspirational.
Well, before I say something to your viewers, I want to say that I'm really proud of you. One, I know the battle of alcohol. I have people close to me who've struggled with it. And to see you in where you are right now, I can only imagine the demons that you had to battle. I can only imagine them. But remember this, earlier on I said, you have to have ashes. Those were your ashes. here's your beauty, you know? So don't take it as a bad journey. Take it as the thing that had to be burnt down to the ground for you to become. And see you now. I hope that resonates with the viewers as well, because I'm really big on God can only give you beauty for your ashes, not your neighbor's ashes. So don't celebrate when your neighbor's failing, not your cousin's ashes, not your sister or auntie or mom's ashes, but your ashes. So you're gonna go through some tough journeys in life. Hey, it is what it is, but it's always beautiful in the end.
Ted Josiah, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward. You have a now open door policy to every other time with Eric. We're going to be the biggest platform out of the region. In the next, just keep watching. Collaboration, we're going to talk off air.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure, sir.
Asante sana, man.
Thank you so much for coming.
Cheers.
And bye, jokajok.
Amen.